Hey, welcome back to Don't Run with Scissors. I'm Kelly, your favorite Jeep driving lawyer, mom of twins and 3 crazy rescue dogs, who likes to craft in her spare time, has gone back to school to learn ASL, and is trying to train for Ironman and renovate her house. If you're new here, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. It sends me a message, boosts my self-esteem and my serotonin, and I could really use that. If you're returning, you already know the crazy you're in for, so grab your drink, sit on back, and let's have at it. The first thing we do on my channel, usually, is to do our sign of the week. So our sign of the week is what? It's COVID. So you're going to make your little fist. You're going to kind of almost slant it behind, if that makes sense. You're going to open it and twist. So COVID. The reason that our sign of the week is COVID is because I tested positive again. So if you're new here, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with the lights, dude. I got nothing. But now I look like I'm in heaven, and I'm not. This is not heaven. It's not my heaven. But I tested positive on Sunday after having COVID back in June. Now, I have tested since then negative. So it's not like one of the theories was maybe it's still the same and this is just a sinus infection. It's not. I got COVID again. Second time. What sucks is, one, I feel like I got hit by a Mack truck. My teachers are being very good. Nobody wants COVID in the schools. Like, clearly, they're like, please stay home. Just let us know what you need. Make sure you fill out the portal, because at our school, we have this COVID tracking portal. So it will tell me. So I'm allowed back on campus as of Thursday. Well, that's great. I don't have classes on Thursday and Friday. So I did a Zoom class tonight. That's English. That's all day. Night. Versus English. Y'all. We'll talk about that in a second. So I had class via Zoom tonight that I'm gonna admit I was going to film this earlier. I got sidetracked with homework and court work and whatnot. So part of the problem is that Wednesday I was going to drop off my boy at his English class, run over to court for a hearing that my judge wants in person, not anymore, and then go to change clothes and then go to yoga class. Then I was going to go test drive 2 Jeeps, different locations, of course, because, we can't make shit easier. And then I have to take the kids out to their class. Welcome to my world. This is why I'm exhausted all the time. Well, tomorrow I have to call the court, my judge's secretary, and go, what does she want me to do? I have COVID and I have a positive test. And I'm now taking Paxlovid. Has anybody taken this stuff? This is nasty. I have 1 dose in. And all I want to do is vomit on it. I mean, as if I wasn't nauseous and puking and gag. I was gagging at everything, even on air. And now, yeah, I don't know if I can do this for 5 days, twice a day. I know I need to. but it makes me want to cry. I don't know. So I was supposed to have class tomorrow. I have another presentation to do in my deaf culture class. I'm hoping I wake up and have the energy to film it. At least that one we get to film. But I am just, yeah, I thought, everybody keeps saying, you know, after you have it once, the next times are not as bad. That may be true for some people. Now, the one thing that I have said, I will say, knock on wood, I'm not coughing nearly as bad, and my doctor has been very proactive when I talked to him. He immediately wrote me my prescription for benzonate, which is, they call them Tesla pearls. I know I'm saying that wrong too. They're these little gold capsules. They're like the best thing in the world if you have a cough. Yeah. It's about the only thing that works for me. My dog bells are weird working because, the wind blew the wrong way and the dog bells go off. So, we still don't have a Jeep, in case you haven't deduced that from the conversation we just had. We are getting closer. I feel like we're super close. Sorry, I do apologize ahead of time. I'm gonna try and make this as short as possible, honestly, because I want to go to bed. So hopefully we'll get better soon enough that I can go test drive the 2 Jeeps that I wanted to test drive, and make the final call. I had put a deposit down on one last week. It's a fully refundable deposit. I made sure that that is all over every single thing. And, somebody asked me the question. They're like, did you hesitate when you bought George? And I said, absolutely not. I knew that was, like, I knew it. They're like, why are you hesitating on this Jeep? And I said, I don't know. And they're like, the fact that you're second guessing yourself and that you're so hesitant means it's not the right Jeep. So yeah. So I have been parting George out. George no longer has the soft top. He no longer has seats. I've sold a couple other parts. That has been an interesting process. And what was funny, the guy who came to buy the back seat, and ironically the carpet out of the back yesterday, he looked at it and he goes, holy cow, am I glad you're okay? And I go, yeah. And he goes, I can't imagine how hard this is for you to part him out. And I said, yeah, it's rough. And I said, I don't really talk about it because I end up crying. And he goes, I can understand that. And he goes, so what was his name? Nobody else who has bought parts off of him has asked me about it. I said, George. And he goes, did you love him and pet him and call him George? I busted out laughing because that is why we named George George. If you know the old Bugs Bunny, or honestly Grapes of Wrath, but most people don't know that one. They know the Bugs Bunny sketch where he's holding the little critter and he's like, I will love him and I will pet him and I will call him George and make him my own. And that was why George got named George. So the fact that this guy got it, first of all, that he asked me his name and then he got the reference, was like, so he's pulling the back seat belts and the seats out, and he goes, I just want you to know, he goes, George is, because you guys know me, if you've been around this for even a couple weeks, he goes, George is going to live on with these parts, and I'll make sure he keeps they're in good shape. It's nice that you're making him an organ donor. And it was just funny because I didn't say any of those words to this guy like beforehand, and I didn't know him. The guy had posted it in the Jeep group, the Michigan Jeep group, and I didn't know. And none of the other guys that had come to even look at parts or who had asked about parts have said anything like that. So, and it was one of those where I was questioning going into this, like, and I had a conversation with my friend, and I was just like, am I supposed to be doing like this? Is this the right thing to do? Like, me, are you sure we can't rebuild him? And I was just doubting myself, and I was like, I go, and then I was like, why am I not finding the right Jeep? Am I doing the wrong thing? Like, I just need something. I just needed the reassurance. And I know this sounds crazy, but I think it's part of the healing process. I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Am I looking for the wrong car? Like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing it the right way? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Somebody, like, obviously somebody up above is looking out for me, because everybody who's looked at George since I've been parting him out have been shocked that the only thing I've done is broke 2 bones in my arm. They're like, I can't even. They're like, seriously? They're like, yeah, he's a Jeep, and Jeeps are like tanks because that's how they're built. But it's a little bit beyond that. And maybe I'm just emotional because I have COVID again, and like I don't deal with being sick real well. So it was a really great conversation. So I came in the house and I got him a duck, and I gave him the duck, and um so yeah, so my baby is sitting out there in the drive with no seats, no back carpet, no top, no front speakers. Oh, so that's the other thing. So he goes, I'm gonna come look at the back seat. I sent him pictures, and he goes, yeah, absolutely. That's like, she's in amazing condition. And um, when I was taking pictures, I had asked the kids to clean out the Jeep when all this happened, and we knew, like, and then to try and find my hearing aid. Remember? So I go and I pull a bag that was stuffed alongside of the seat, which should have been cleaned out because I asked the kids to clean it out. And I was so beat up and sore and broken, there was no way for me to get in the back seat with the front seat still there. It was just absolutely, it wasn't going to happen. I pull the bag out, and what comes flying out? My flippin' hearing aid. You know, the one that I paid $400 to replace? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that was fun. Let's see. I gave my presentation on Lou Brigg. No, last week. And I got 28 out of 32 points, which is a good grade. Don't get me wrong, it's a good grade. Here's my problem, though. She dinged me that I missigned several basic signs, and I fingerspelled a couple words that should have been signed. I wish I had had a friend film my presentation, because then I could have gone back. Because remember, I met with 2 separate tutors and gave my presentation, and neither one of them noticed any of these or said anything. So it kind of makes me mad. So she said, what was, she just said, you missed, some of your signs are wrong, and they're basic signs, and you need to correct that. Okay, so which ones? Because my presentation was 7 minutes long. So which words were wrong? Because I said a whole lot of words. So I took a deep breath and I messaged her and I said, in an effort to really try and get better, could you tell me, like, give me more information so that then I can go to the tutor again and say, hey, can you help me with these signs or these issues? Could you explain this to me? Like, and she was very gracious about it. And she's like, absolutely, it's not a bother. That's what I'm here for. That's how you're going to learn better. And I was like, thank you. So then I went to the tutor and I actually went to my professor from last semester, the one that was a little cuckoo. And um asked him because I figure, okay, yes, my teacher is deaf. Hang on one second. And um um so the preference is always that if you're going to try and understand something in ASL or deaf culture, the first person you go to is a deaf person, that they're the authority on their language and their culture. So I went to Glenn because that's his name sign is Glenn. And I said, which is so weird to me that I'm calling my professors by their first names. In law school, we don't do that. So Glenn and I figured out a few things. And part of the problem has been that my ASL 1 through 4, for the most part, was taught on Zoom, where I'm looking at like a screen this bit, and my teacher's got a screen, not very big, probably, and we're all this big and, whatever. And so some things weren't caught back then. And that is the problem with learning from Zoom, is because there's little nuances to every single sign that maybe don't get caught. And so, okay. So one of the things I was like, I signed people this way, where your P fingers are moving up and down. No, you move your P fingers. People, they're in circles. They're like small circles. So people. Okay. Here's the other one that I do wrong, or I have been doing wrong. Remember, I had told you I had been doing laptop wrong because I had been doing it like this. But laptop is, sorry, this motion is harder for me. It's like this. Okay. I'm so sorry. I do sign where so that was the first one. So now I gotta remember, people go in circles, they don't go up and down. Because this is more jackhammer. So the other one was, so I flagged Lou Ferrigno, so I don't have to keep spelling out Lou Ferrigno. So this is my sign for Lou. So Lou supports the Starkey Foundation. Now, in our fingerspelling class, if it was a proper name, you spell the whole name. And to me, Starkey Foundation is the proper name because as a business, that's how it would, or a 501c3, that would be the name. Lawyer Kelly thinks. But no. So I should have spelled out Starkey Foundation. Foundation. At one point I said that Lou was an actor. He is. So I did act, which is fine. I forgot to make him add the part. So he's an actor. So act, Little simple things. But are fixable. It's just, again, it's those little nuances that when you're looking at a screen and the person is this big, or they're looking at you like that, you wouldn't necessarily. Oh, so sign was the other one that I've always been doing it where this finger comes forward and around. This finger goes backwards and around front. So I have been meeting with the tutors on Zoom, but it's one-on-one. So it's a lot easier to see. One of my tutors that I'm now working with is deaf. Her name is Joyce. C-E. And so that's been very helpful. She's a very sweet woman. It's sweet woman. One of the other things that we've learned that for mom, your fingers are out, mom, father. It's just one tap, father, mom. So daughter actually comes more from the side of your face down rather than from here. And son is the same way. I've been like from the middle down, but no, it's from the side. So it's been very helpful, and like meeting with Joyce for 1 hour and talking to Glenn for like 10 minutes helps sort out a lot of that. So we will just baby steps, and as Glenn keeps going, baby steps, and he's like, but you've gone a long way since even my, like when I started with his class at the beginning of the summer. So speaking of classes, I am currently taking 5 classes this semester and struggling to keep up with it. And now that I'm sick, I'm going to make the final decision in the morning. I'm going to have another conversation with somebody, but I think I'm going to drop a class. And it's my all online nutrition class, which is very labor intensive. And I can't figure out where she's got all these flippant assignments all the time. So what I'm thinking is, do I want to take the class? Absolutely I do. But not right. Not the rest of the semester. Will I get money back? No. And does that blow? Yeah. Yeah, it does. Big time. I've got to take something off my shoulders. And I've got more and more cases coming in. More and more, which is fantastic. Not complaining at all. But yeah, I've got to take something off my plate. So I think that's what our answer is, to start removing, to try and take some things off my plate, is to do that. So with that said, I actually have done, I feel like I've done a lot of stitching, but then I look at my pile and it's not a whole lot of stitching, and I wish it had been more, but you know what, life. And I have not felt like, I tested positive on Sunday, but honestly, I was not feeling good. Probably starting maybe even a little on Wednesday. For sure by Thursday, I was starting to feel it. And so that's why we're taking the, so, but I had to do some sitting, with the boy child. I had to do some sitting for some other things. The girl child had a doctor's appointment. I had to sit for that. So I took my stitching because that's what I do. Sometimes depending on things, I will take homework or client work. I just didn't want to lug my computer. Honestly, it was just too much. And I needed a break. I'm running on E, y'all, and I think everybody who knows me knows that. Like, I'm running on E. So, what have I been stitching on? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Let's talk about that. Because we're like a half hour in and I haven't mentioned stitching at all. Let me make it clear, I have no haul in person right now. Did I order something today? Yeah, and we're going to talk about that later, so no worries. Okay, so I have been plugging away at Whipco, and Whipco is the brainchild of Jessie Marie, and I absolutely, again, my brain loves this theory. So my Whipco goal, my board is got 25 projects on it. Each one is to work either 10 days or till it's finished. So we've gotten a couple finished, fully finished, not fully finished. Like, they're not like, come on now, please. But I have finished the stitching part of several items already. So yay me, go me. Yay, raise the roof. Gotta celebrate. Okay, this is not one of those. So this month, one of the calls was for 10 days on Pandemic by Long Dog Sampler. And I love my Pandemic. I'm not even gonna lie. I do love this stitch. It is one of those that is both challenging and yet, because of the way I'm doing it, can be a no-brainer stitch when I just need to do and like not concentrate stitching. And that is the joy of this project. Is it huge? Absolutely. But guess what? I hit a milestone. It doesn't sound like much of a milestone when I say it out loud now. I hit over 15%. Yes, 15. But if you recall, last week I said my goal was to finish the one motif and to bring that line, that stripe down. I'm assuming you guys have all seen Pandemic and you don't need me to pull up my pattern keeper pattern again. So I hit that and I started working on a little bit more. So we filled in some more of the blue. I filled in, let's see, I got this part down here all worked in. But wait for it, wait for it. Dun, 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 dun. Look at that! So, I finished this motif, including the little squirrel. I brought all of this down. I got that popped in, which is the next like stripe that comes up. So I still owe Pandemic one more day this month. I wanted it to be a good one, not one where I'm like, one where I can put in more than 10 stitches kind of thing. So I still owe this, so you'll see this at least once more, probably this next week. So we got that done. Okay, so then this is for my secret squirrel sister. Sounds really weird to say it. I'm an Alpha Gamma Delta alumni, and our colors are red, buff, and green. And there's a stitching squirrels group on. Our mascot is a squirrel. I don't make the mascots. Excuse me. Oh my god. So I have a stitchy squirrel for Christmas. And so I found the toweling at Seams Fabric in East Lansing. She is online. Jessie's shop is amazing. If you're looking for Cosmo floss, that's where you go, because Jessie's got the whole line. So the toweling is red and green, or red and buff. colors apparently are really hard today. The toweling is green and buff. And then I am stitching the squirrel, the French country squirrel, in red of some sort. I think I put away the little pattern. I made a working copy of it. It's 321 by DMC. 321 is what I'm doing the red squirrel in. So I am working away. Now, I'm just going to tell you all that it is a little funky to work on this linen. I thought I knew where where my cross squares would be. And that is very evident in the white or the buff color. That changes in the green stripe. They're not the same, it's not the same weave. Does that make sense? I don't know if you can tell. Can you tell? Do you see my dilemma? Maybe I'm nuts, okay? But they're much clearer in the white part. It's more of a more like the Lugana I think I have. Maybe it's an easy one. I don't know. And this is more just like, I don't know. So my stitches are a little, like my count is a little off. And I'm hoping that doesn't end up mattering in the long run. Because if it does, then I've made myself a beautiful linen kitchen towel. If it doesn't matter, I've made my stitching squirrel part of her Christmas present from me. So we're going to continue to work on that because, again, deadlines. So one of the other things that I worked on, and I'm very proud of my progress on this, and honestly, probably one more good, like, if I have to sit and wait or sit and do anything, I could probably finish this maybe 2 days, maybe 2 of those sessions. Don't judge me. We all know that means it's probably going to be 30. Because, yeah. But what am I talking about? That would be the Primrose Cottage Stitches. Happy Halloween. How stinking cute is that? I absolutely love this. I am going to have to stitch it again because this first one is going to a friend of mine. Unless it continues to be a butthead, and then it won't. Because I don't gift butthead handmade gifts. I just don't. Sometimes that was the other thing. I wanted to show you this on this because I never get to show you guys my backs because usually my backs look like a crackhead has been stitching them, which I am all about. Hey. But can we just all take a moment to admire this back so far? It's not perfect, but it's pretty dang good for me because I'll show you my normal back. Here's back to pandemic. That's normally what my backs look like. Like a whole big hot mess. And actually this is pretty good compared to some of them. I travel. Whatever. Because who's going to see it? If you're looking at the back of my stitching, first of all, you better be paying to have it framed. And second of all, what the hell are you doing? There's no need. So, but I have been trying to be a little bit more conscious about it. I don't know why. Because truly, it really doesn't matter to me. The only time it matters is on like a few of the gifts that I'll show you. So anyways, Primrose Cottage. My dog bells. Please forgive the dog bells. I believe the boy child is home from band. So here's where we're at. I love this little random face. Okay, so I have the white pumpkin, and then a second, there's the bigger orange pumpkin. obviously I have to do the ghost body. Then I have to go back and I have to do the witch's legs in the HA. And then all of these little stars that are up, and then the one by the Y. So now that I'm looking at this, I'm realizing there's a whole heck of a lot of stitching to get done. Halloween's not that far away. But here's the thing that upsets me. It tells me on the, so now here, see, this is how inconsistent I am. For the squirrel, one, I don't have a project bag for it, which is really sad, but, you know, I just don't. I made my working copy, but I also kept the original pattern in there. What? But in here, it tells you that you need 2 skeins of each of these. Now you see how much I have left to get done, right? And I'm stitching on the same count fabric as the sample, because the sample is stitched on 28 count wheat Lugana. Okay, maybe I'm not. I'm stitching on 32 count Lugana. 32 count Lugana rather than 28. But even with all I have left to stitch, so I bought the 2 skeins of each because that's what I do. Because that's what it said. And I'm actually surprised I didn't, knowing me, buy 3 skeins of each just to be safe because, you know. But I still have quite a bit left. I may have to break out Nigel. I may have to break out the second onyx. But I'm not thinking I'm going to need to break out the second persimmon and parchment.
Maisie, get over here.
I don't think so. We're also using root beer float wax. Sadly, I have not picked out a wax scent for Pandemic that is just to Pandemic, and I think that's because when I work on it, I have my pattern keeper on my tablet, but I have a skein of floss, well, skein on my little floss flowers that I got from Denise. Hi Denise, I hope you're doing okay, honey. Here are my thoughts. Okay, well my blue has got more than one on it, but so I just grabbed this rather than the whole project bag. And my piece of fabric that it's on is too big to put in the project bag realistically. So I don't know. But sometimes I have just a scented wax sitting on my table so that when I'm stitching, we're there. Okay. Still a little bit more. Okay, so I still have my Practicum Pixie. My date is next Monday, you all. I'm kind of freaking out. I am down to the last 3 names, and I have started one of those. And the other 2 are short. These last couple names have been 7 letters. 7 letters. Could you all pick shorter names for your kids? Not that that's going to help me. But we are down to the last 3. 2 of them are their teachers. Only 1 more student to stitch. That is my finger spelling names for my classmates. So, let's see. Where do we finish up? Well, that's it. So we got Amber. You can't really tell what it's yellow. So that's Lindsay. And that's Sujari. And now I'm starting Natalia. And then hopefully on this bottom chunk here, I can put Kelly, who is my professor. And then we'll go back on this piece, on the first piece. And I think I can put Aaron right there, going this way. And then I have to figure out, I think I want to finish them so that they can be like zipper pulls. So I'm going to have to figure out kind of how to do that in this next week. So yeah. So there you go. So that is all of my stitching. This next week, clearly the focus will be on the last three names and FFOing. So what I may have to do is I may have to film earlier on Monday so that you guys can get to see the names all FFO'd and to prove that I've actually FFO'd something, because we all know I don't do that. After that is the one day on pandemic, and then I can pull out Lady of the Flag, which is my other pull for this month. And I also want to finish Happy Halloween. I am considering, so Happy Halloween on my Whip Go board is closest whip to being done. So here we are so far. So closest whip to being done has not been pulled, but I've worked 3 days on Happy Halloween because that was one of my two that I listed in that square that for closest to being done. So that is Happy Halloween, and like I said, I think that may take 2 more days, depending on life. And then Plant Love, which I had been working on. It was another square. Whatever. It was another square. It is so close to being done. So the other days left out of the 10 will be Plant Love. So, to be fair, what I may actually do is not worry about Lady of the Flag, even though I still owe her 10 days this month. I may just go ahead and finish out this square. And then when this square or this square gets called, I'll throw back Lady of the Flag, which may take a little bit off my shoulders this month too. And I'm kind of liking that idea now that we're talking about it. I think that's what we're going to do, y'all. I know you're wanting to see Lady of the Flag, and I want to work on her, but right now, I think that is my better plan. So what we're going to do is finish Pandemic, and then we're going to focus on closest whip to being done, which means Happy Halloween and the names. So that's the 3 goals this next week. So I mentioned it earlier today. Yeah, I really do like that idea. We're also going to drop nutrition, unless there's some weird reason in the morning not to drop it. I can add it in next semester. I have 3 classes in the program. But what I can do is add it back in, but make sure that I meet with the professor kind of one-on-one before the semester starts, maybe, or that first week of class, and make sure I know where every single thing is, because that's part of the problem. Is I'm doing well on the test, but I can't figure out where half of the freaking assignments are. And so now I have all this missing assignments, and she doesn't accept late work. And so, like, I could do the extra credit, but like I went to go do the one extra credit this weekend because it was due, and I couldn't get the files to open up. So it's like adding stress upon stress upon stress. So I think that is my better option, is to just go ahead and drop it, take a deep breath, change my WIPGO numbers, even though they're not what was called, and that will alleviate a lot of stress off of me right now. I think that's it. Tomorrow, this new stove, the guy comes for the stove, and we're gonna see about getting a dishwasher hookup installed. That again will take off more pressure. and stress. And right now that is really and truly critical for me. Okay. So I mentioned earlier about haul. One of the things, okay, so if you go on Instagram, I love Instagram. You guys know if you follow me on Instagram, that's awesome. His Princess Kelly on Instagram. So Sew to Stitch, if you follow them on Instagram, they will refer you to their Facebook group. And today, I don't know how long it's going to be there. I pulled it down today because today was the first day I saw it. It's the Gnomes Halloween. So cute. Okay, so there's no cover picture, which I'm sorry. So I'm gonna hold this way back here to see. They're gnomes with pumpkins and they have faces. So cute. So I printed that off because I would really like to do that. I have not pulled any of the to see where I am as far as pulling any of the flosses that are called for. Now they have it charted in DMC, Anchor, and I want to say Weeks Dye Works. I printed out the DMC version. I know I have at least a couple of these. I may have them all. I don't know. But that's one of them that I want to work on. It's not going to be done for this Halloween. And that's okay. Here's the other one, and this is what I bought. I went through my stash of my limited edition of fancy flosses. Mostly because, I don't know, it's from Fat Quarter Shop, and it is a freebie. It's Merry Little Christmas. Okay. And it's got kind of a retro vibe to me. And I don't know if you can tell. Okay. And with the I wanted the subtle variegation that I'm seeing with the classic. Like, they're not large jumps in variegation in the colors that the classic colorworks are offering. And I'm really liking those. So I went through my limited edition, my limited stash of classic colorworks. And the only one that I had was Little Sprout. But see, it's got some variegation like I like. But it's not like crazy variegated, which is what I like. So, I want to stitch this for Christmas, just for me. I'm not going to finish it the way it is finished in this picture. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to finish it, but it won't be... Well, first of all, that tray is from a certain craft store that I don't set foot. So that's not going to happen. But, so I ordered all of the colors from Bobby's shop. Hi, Bobby. Except for Bobby doesn't have Ribbon Red by Classic Colorworks. So I'm going to have to find a place that has Ribbon Red by Classic Colorworks. So here's the other thing. I think, based on what I'm seeing online from the colors, that Ribbon Red may be what I want to use for the red for One Nation. I have the blue. I dyed the blue. I love the blue. I can tea dye my like creamy color because I want it really pale, real pale, but like a dingy white. But I figured out that I need 45 yards of Ribbon Red for One Nation, which is 9 skeins. And then I need one for this. That's 10 skeins. Each skein, first of all, finding 10 skeins, anywhere 10 or 11, I would probably buy 11 just so that I'm not short any. Although I can't imagine that this takes the whole 5 yards. But stranger things have happened. So I need 11 skeins of Ribbon Red. I am finding it for like $2.50 a skein. So that's like $30 just in like one color. Am I being ridiculous? Especially knowing that I have the giant cone of white, where I could just go and buy some RIT dye and dye 45 yards of red for One Nation and just buy the one skein of ribbon red for this project. Or I could just buy the one skein of DMC because it says DMC 816. I may even have DMC 816. So that is my big dilemma there. So, anyways, long story short, I think there is a sale going on for this. I have no idea what the hashtag is because the reason I found out about this was I saw somebody stitching it on Instagram. Damn you, Instagram. So, if you want to do this with me, let me know. I just think it's cute. I think it's kind of retro. Again, I'm not finishing it like that. I don't know how we're going to finish it because, again, I don't really finish anything. I do the stitching. I don't FFO shit. We all know that. And then I have the little gnomes. But they're not going to be, like, I'm not even going to tell you that let's sell that together because, y'all, no. Okay. I have started thinking about WIPGO for next year. I like the 10 days on for each block that I pulled. However, I am going to list my bigger pieces. So, Jeep Van Gogh, Baphomet, Hillbilly Candle Company truck, my picture of K, the periodic table, Monopoly. Like each one is getting listed 3 to 4 times, so that I can see huge progress on all of that. So yeah. Other than that, I'm gonna let you guys go because this took way longer than I thought it would be. And yeah, I need to get my butt in bed because I'm exhausted. And yeah. If anybody knows how to deal with the muscle cramps from COVID, like literally my legs, it wakes me up at night. They're so bad. They cramp up, and I am taking muscle relaxers for it because I had the muscle relaxers for my back. But yeah, I'm just achy. Like I had to go and look at the calendar to see when I would be due for another nerve ablation and hip injections, and I don't want that. Like we want to postpone that as long as we can. So yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm gonna keep plugging away. I did make my book goal. I think I told you guys that last week. We're now over 150 books listened to for the year. Next year, I am going to set a book goal, but what I do like is Pam from Just Keep Stitching. What she did is she did this year where she took each letter from the alphabet, so 26 books, but they each started with a different letter of the alphabet, and she went like that. And I kind of like that challenge. So I'm thinking that maybe what I do. And she either uses the author's name or the title to fit that letter of the alphabet. So I may do that. The other thing with WIPGO is if I do 10 days on each project, so that's 10, 20, the rest of I'm also going to do like the one thread a day on several other little projects. So that I'm still going to have finishes. I'm still going to have, whatever. And I already have started to list out sort of some of the littler projects that I think would be easy to pull and get done or are going to be gifts and I'd like to get them done. Marine Corps emblem is on my WIPGO board quite a bit, but I'm hoping, I think I may make, because at this rate, I'm going to finish my WIPGO board before the end of the year because I'm already ahead. So right now, if I finish these 2 blocks this month, I've only got 3 more blocks to go for November and December. So I think, so whatever's next month will be 2 of the 3, I would imagine. So then for December, I'll have the third, whatever the third square is left. And I'm going to focus on Marine Corps emblem. We've made really, really good progress on that over this last few months, since getting that circle fixed and all lined up. We've been making really good progress on that, and I would, I think we can knock it out before we need, I think it will still go on the whip-go board, but I don't know that it will need 4 times on the whip-go board, which would be great. Because if we finish it and we don't need all 4 times, then we'll just, like the ones that the blocks that we don't need, I'll pull off my list and we'll just change them out. That's the joy of whip-go. It's your board, your rules, and that's what we'll do. So, oh, that's my other piece. I don't know that I worked on it this last week, but I do have the table all done. So that's my other Christmas exchange present. So if you're watching and you know who you are, because we've already talked, yeah. So that's where we're at. So with that, you know what my plans are. You know where I'm going. You know what I'm doing. With that, I'm going to bed. I'm going to go take more meds that are probably going to make me feel crappy. And that's fine, because eventually it will make me feel better. And I'm going to get some rest. And we'll talk soon. As always, feel free to reach out to me at His Princess Kelly on Instagram, or Kelly Rico Green on Facebook. And maybe one day I'll figure out the lighting in here better. I don't know. I don't make any promises anymore. You all know that. So, bye guys.